So here you may be noticing that I'm missing a severely important part to my engine. That part of the engine is in fact the intake manifold. You may be wondering why I've actually removed this from my vehicle, and that's because nobody likes their engine bay to look dull. So what I'm actually doing here is sanding down from a 240 grit wet and dry paper all the way to 2000 grit to try and get as close to a mirror finish on my intake manifold as possible. Now the grit of wet and dry paper that I'll be using for this starts at 240, then goes to 400 grit, next to 800, then 1200, 1500, and to get it as close to a mirror finish as possible, I'll finish it off with 2000 grit. As you may notice, I'm only sanding down the top half of my intake manifold. Now that is for very good reason. That reasoning is being that underneath, people will not be able to see this when I've got my engine bay on display at car shows. So in fact, I'm just going to paint it with a heat-proof black paint, which you'll see later on in the video. So here I am applying some auto sole polishing compound, which I would 100% recommend if you're planning to polish any metal products anytime soon. So after one coat of this polish, this is what the intake manifold looks like. As you can see, it is still slightly dull, so we will be going over it again with another coat of polish. As you will now notice, it is a completely different day, and that's because it is time to polish the cam cover. Now I will be using the exact same process that I undertook to do the intake manifold, as I would like it to exactly the same standard that came out to. And here you may notice that my HT leads are no longer blue. That is because upon putting the intake manifold back in, I managed to bend the corner of the gasket, which caused my engine to only run on 3 cylinders. So after a bit of troubleshooting, obviously it worked out that it was not the fault of the HT leads and it was my own fault, and now they are back on the car. Now, of course, when you do take your cam cover off, please make sure to cover your cams because you do not want any nasty stuff getting inside your engine. If you do ever take your cam cover off of your car, make sure to buy a cam cover gasket, otherwise you could encounter oil leaking issues, as you may have damaged the old seal when removing the cam cover. Now I actually started putting my airbox and my intake pipe back on the car, but a couple days later my induction kit arrived, so of course we put that on the car too. Now there's the finished product, and if you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe and stick around, as next video we will be chucking some coilovers on my car.